Hello and welcome to Sobrix. I'm Adam and this is Sobrix. This is my channel for reviewing Lego sets and building them and other Lego related stuff. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the new Lego Star Wars Luke Skywalker X-Wing Mech. This is set number 75390. It has 195 pieces, and I paid $16 for this set. So when this was announced, I was pretty excited for it. I did look at, I think there's only been 3 other Star Wars mechs. There was like a Boba Fett one, a Stormtrooper one, and a Darth Vader one. And I know there was some kind of controversy, or some people were a bit unenthusiastic about Star Wars mechs. I thought they were fun. I thought they were, a good idea, great toys. I didn't love that they were $16 instead of $15 compared to like some of the Marvel ones. I'm assuming that's still going to be the case with this one, but we will see. It's been some time since those other ones were released, and I think it's completely ridiculous to combine a ship that is identified very closely with a character into the mech suit. I think it's really wacky, really fun, and kind of the direction that I would like to see these go. And there's probably, if they did a Han Solo mech and something of it was, related to the Falcon, I think that would be cool. I'd really be interested in seeing stuff like C-3PO mech or R2-D2 mech or any sort of thing, like an Anakin pod racer inspired mech. I think there is a lot of stuff, and this is maybe the next step into like embracing the full kind of wacky fun nature of this. So I think kind of making this not just a Luke Skywalker mech, but also like a combination of some elements of a vehicle, of a ship that is very closely associated with Luke Skywalker. I think that's really cool, and I think that's true for Sith people, or even for droids, or for clones, or there's lots of opportunities, and I think they could really branch out with their designs and keeping kind of the main form factor the same, but like really kind of pushing that sort of creativity a little bit. And so I'm really excited to look at this. Not sure how I feel about the price yet, but we will see. So in this video, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. While I build, I will speed the video up, and then I'll slow it back down to review this set. So until then, enjoy. Okay, so while we look at the build for this Lego Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech, I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and then remind you, if you like the video, click the thumbs up. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button. That helps me a lot. So I wanted to talk about the build a little bit. We already pretty much have most of the torso, the waist area done. We're working on the legs and the feet. I like how wide the feet are. Then we can move on to kind of a little accessory thing on the back, including adding the S-foils. I think in the full review, I mixed up sort of the order of how this was built. I thought maybe the arms were attached before kind of the X-Wing things on the back, but we do eventually add the arms, the hands, we add kind of the chest piece with a nice printed tile, and then we build the accessories, and then that's everything. So I spent some time kind of posing it in different stuff, and that's the whole build. So now on to my review for this set. Thank you. Okay, so that is this Lego Star Wars Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech set. Like I said at the beginning, I think this is a great idea, and I think it's executed pretty well. I haven't exactly figured out how I like it all to be oriented or anything like that, but in terms of embracing the kind of absurdity of this, I think this really succeeds. The build is, to me, very similar to some of the Marvel ones and the other Star Wars ones that are kind of at the same scale. It's got some similarities, some differences, and that's good to see. But overall, I think this is pretty good. So we will get into it. And the first thing we will look at is the minifigure. We do get one, which is true for most of these mechs. I think if they did, I was kind of just making random suggestions of who would be cool mechs. It'd be cool if they did a 2-pack of maybe like C-3PO and R2-D2 kind of in like smaller mechs, but maybe that would be closer to microfighters or something like that. But I don't know. I just like think there's a lot of room here. I know the Venom one came with two minifigures there, which is a little bit different, but we have Luke Skywalker here, and this is them in their kind of pilot outfit. So we do have the blaster, you get one of those. We do have the lightsaber there as well. Production on the bar element is really quite good, so I like that. And then, yeah, we have the pilot Luke here. So no hairpiece was included in this one, but we do have the helmet, which is pretty nice. Good mold, good printing on the helmet, kind of all along this curve. The rebel side over there, or whatever, and that's really, really good. And we can kind of see some here too. On the back, nothing too much going on. You can see a little bit of the alternate face there, which is a little bit surprising. Then removing the helmet, we can look at the face. So this one, we have the chin strap or the mouthpiece kind of deal, and the visor is over the eyes. We do have the alternate hair or headpiece, alternate face, with the visor kind of pushed up. The eyes are exposed. The mouth is open there. You can see how that's framed up a little bit, so pretty good to get that. I do like the printed helmet a lot. And then looking at the torso, this is really nice. So it's kind of that orange pilot suit there, but lots and lots of detail on the torso, including some very, very fine lines kind of in this gray here that are almost kind of faint too, so they're thin and they're not super different from the background, so that's like a really nice attention to detail. I like that the kind of console that's strapped around the thicker black straps here on the chest is kind of askew a little bit, kind of off angle, which is really, really nice. The tube kind of stuff down here is good, and yeah, lots of details on this. Back of the torso kind of has the back of that like vest area there, some belts and some straps going around him, which is nice. We do have printing on the midsection, which has kind of the belt area, but also some of this tubing continuing. They line up pretty well. You do get, because it doesn't go right up to the edge, all the way for the torso and for the midsection. There's a little bit of a gap there, but not too bad. Nothing on the arms, but we do have printing on the legs again, which is nice. And I think this this version of Luke has been available before. I don't think there's anything changed about this since, other times Luke has been in this, since maybe, the X-Wing from a year or two ago, the Playscale one, and then the UCS style one from maybe last year. I don't remember exactly, but I think this is pretty similar to Luke's we've seen in the past, but that's fine to get. It is a good quality minifigure. Nothing on the arms, nothing on the side of the legs or anything like that, but for what it is, I would say this is pretty darn good. And then the rest of the set is the Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech. And I think with the Stormtrooper and with Boba Fett and with Darth Vader, the mech was very, I think, purposeful, kind of an upscaled version. So it's like taking the minifigure, putting in the mech suit, and the mech suit very much followed kind of their aesthetic, general colors, and was just like bigger, bigger arms, bigger legs, bigger torso, still a very small head. And this one is a little bit different. So we can take a look at it here. This starts off with building on this kind of relatively new-ish starter piece. I'm not sure if this originated with the Star Wars mechs. It may have. It's just a different way to to start the mechs off. So it has kind of the the bottom of a plate kind of thing here. It's like 2/3 of a brick at a lot of it with studs there, but then also like a full brick at other points. Has some different layers up here that are all like one piece together, which is nice. When they added that, it did kind of simplify stuff. It kind of looks like this. So we have like a plate, and then we have essentially what's like 2 plates there, or like 2/3 of it, and then at the end and at these hollow studs, that is like a full brick, so like 3 plates. You do have those axle kind of holes in there as well, so it's a pretty complicated piece, I would say, but it's designed well, and it makes these come together a lot quicker. So good to see that. So you start by building that, and then you start kind of working around what will be the sort of waist area, which is good. This doesn't have waist rotation at all, so we can't do anything there. We can't spin the torso on top. I would like for them to do that, but this kind of starter brick piece would prevent that generally. There are ways to do mechs like the Ninjago ones somewhat recently that don't use that are a kind of a step up or a half step up in scale from this, even though they use kind of the same molded folded arm pieces and stuff that I really appreciated those having the waist, but this one doesn't for this scale. So we build up around the waist. We had some clips on the side, which is good. We kind of round this out, get these slopes there, a couple exposed studs kind of in the waist hip area, and then you work on the legs. So you do one of the legs first. The legs are the same, just mirrored. So we do use one of these kind of bigger molded pieces there for the arms or legs. It's pre-bent, so it doesn't articulate at the knee or anything. And we build up on top of that with some plates, some brackets, some studs on the side stuff, and we do have the little pop of that really pale yellow in there, which I appreciated. These vented slopes kind of is that reddish brown or just is nice there. Some vented pieces here. We build that up pretty straightforward. Does have the nice kind of turquoise or like pale blue kind of bluish greenish kind of color here, which is nice. Just a little pop of that. We do have the mixel joint kind of up at the hips, so that ball joint up there. There's another one coming off the leg, which goes to the feet. The feet are pretty basic. They come together quick. There are 2 stud wide, which I appreciate. I think that should kind of be the standard. I know for the Rocket Raccoon one, they just made it 1 kind of stud wide, and that's not my favorite. I do like this. I think it depends. These legs are almost the same width throughout, and even for bulkier legs, I would like kind of a stronger foundation for this, and this ends up working really, really well, that it can just stand on its own very easily. It could even stand on maybe one of these legs, which is a nice thing for posability, for play. It just doesn't feel like it's very precariously placed when it's like put down. So I think the feet play a lot into that. Good amount of range of motion, so we can get that pretty far back. Can't get it too far up, but not horrible. It doesn't have like anything on top of this to kind of prevent anything, and at the rear we have a pretty good thing there. Sometimes they build up the feet a little bit more to maybe hide the ball joint or anything like that, and that can limit the mobility of this, but this one has pretty good. So other leg is done very much the same, just reversed. The feet are the same, and they're not reversed at all, so those are just identical. Again, we have kind of the pale yellow up at the front of the knee, also in the back of the knee on the lower kind of calf area there. I like the color blocking of this a lot, so that's really good. And then after you build the legs, you can work on the arms. Again, like the legs, the arms are identical mostly, and just mirrored. So we do use one of those kind of same pre-bent pieces with the mixel joint there, and then we build out the arms. We have kind of the pauldrons or arm coverings, the shoulder area there, which is nice. Some sloping going down, slope up to the hands. The hands are kind of look like we have a thumb sort of thing, or maybe in here is kind of more the thumb, that sort of inverted slope. There's another inverted slope here that stud isn't in all the way. Another little pop of yellow in there, which I like. And then you do put a Technic, this is a 1x2 plate with a Technic pinhole, kind of something like this coming off of it, which will be used to accommodate the accessories for this mech character. And that's where the major difference is, or maybe the only difference is, besides being mirrored. You can see on this one we used a black Technic piece, and this one we used kind of that pearl silver Technic piece, and that's just because the handle or the grip of the blaster will be black, and the hilt of the lightsaber would be kind of silverish or chrome or whatever there. So those are the main difference. Everything else is the same, just flipped back and forth. I think the blaster is the same as maybe some of the ones that either the Stormtrooper had, Boba Fett had, and it's not my favorite build for one of these. I think it looks a little bit strange. It looks like a little bit too thick. The shaping's not perfect. This looks like weirdly too long to me. It does have the tile shooter, stud shooter kind of at the end of it, so it does allow for some play there, which is good, but it's not my favorite looking accessory, and I wish they maybe would kind of work on making them a little bit different. And also, I know like blasters, there's probably some consistency in the movies and in the material, in the lore, for certain kinds of blasters being carried in certain eras and by certain types of people and stuff like that. And it may be very possible that like Stormtroopers and what Luke uses and what Boba Fett might use are all the same, because I'm pretty sure they're the same build here. I think some of them might be different in universe, and I would like to see that reflected a little bit more here, but that's okay. I love the lightsaber. We did have a piece like this for the Darth Vader one. Mine has a couple bubbles that are noticeable. So there's one up at the top up here. You can kind of see that. There's a bigger, longer one in the middle and down on the bottom. I don't think they all have that. Some have more or less than others. There's even a little small one on the side. Doesn't really bother me, and I think it's just part of the... It's kind of one of the things that can happen with the production process. I think there probably are some out there that maybe don't have any of that, but just the way these are produced, that can happen, and I think I understand it. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding, and maybe none of them are completely sans bubbles. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter to me. I just feel like that might be the case. When I look at the official image, and I didn't look at like the renderings or the official image on the website too much, it does look like, they kind of showed a little bit of bubbling in the element for the lightsaber there, which I think is good to show, just to set expectations, just to be honest, forthright, and truthful in their advertising. So I think it is reflected on there. I don't know if that means that almost all of them or all of them are going to have some kind of amount of that inside of them. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't bother me too much, and it looks pretty cool. And we do put on the kind of chest piece for the mechs a little bit late in the game. We do have the printed Rebel tile there, which is good to get. And then we add some stuff on the back. Some of this you add on pretty early, actually. Let's see here. One of the first things after you use the kind of starter bricks is we take a 2x4 with the Technic axle hole, or maybe it's just a pinhole. No, yeah, it's just a pinhole, and then we put the round plates with the axle hole through the back, and that can all fit in there. There's also technically like axle holes in this starter brick, but they don't really go through all that way. So we stud that on the back, have a couple of these blue pins. Those get covered up pretty well. And then at the end, first we do this little sub-assembly with this kind of Technic piece here, and we add a ball joint on with a Technic pin on one side to all of like the corners. We add some of these like half pins with the stud there, put that on, and then we work on, what are these called, the S foils or the something foils of the X-Wing fighter, and we add those on, which again is so ridiculous that Luke would be in a thing, but it also is like very Transformery, which I know is a different IP, but I just like the idea of having like a play scale X-Wing, and Luke gets out of that and goes in this, or maybe this is in the cargo, and we take some of the physical attributes of the X-Wing and bring it here. I think it's a really good idea, especially, we do have him in the pilot uniform. If they were to make a mech for Luke in his sort of in his New Hope era or in his Return era or anything like that, I don't know what it would look like. It might be pretty similar to, well, especially later in Return or maybe even Empire, if it's just like all black or whatever. I don't know how that would work, and it'd probably be really similar to the Darth Vader one in some ways. And I don't know if they would do like kind of an orange one like this. It would be interesting to see, but why would the mech need to be, in the same color as the jumpsuit for the pilots? But, I don't know if that logic is really required. And because we've already kind of, these mechs are sort of outside of the usual kind of universe of Star Wars, so much so that they can afford to push it and do little things. So I'm sure they could do other mechs of other forms of Luke, and maybe they will. I don't know, but I think this being the first one is really, really fun. So it's almost like, he pilots the X-Wing when he's doing a trench run or whatever, but also maybe when he's doing other stuff, in the Lego-ified minifigure play of everything in the mech. And I think the kind of visual reference and the color reference works really, really well. I do think it'd be interesting to see a pilot one just to like get some of this extra stuff kind of added in there, see how they would adapt that printing to this kind of form factor and whatever. But I do like this as it is. So we do have these kind of wings of the X-Wing, these kind of S foils all throughout there. They do have, I think, some blasters out at the end of them. They're attached with a ball joint. I thought they were going to be just clipped on, but they're a ball joint, so they can rotate if wanted. They can flip all the way around if they wanted. They can go up and down and kind of bring them all back and tuck them away. And there's a lot of range of motion on those. Not a ton of it makes sense for an X-Wing, but you can kind of bring them together a bit. They're not going to get like closed flat or anything like that, but they are, able to kind of get to I don't know what they call this form, but like a closed up form. And with the bulkiness of the arms and everything, I think that's a pretty good approximation. And then we can get those kind of activated and extended and out like that. But there is a lot of range of motion there. In terms of the range of motion for the arms and first there's another part. There is this on the back to kind of cover up the bit there. So there's a clip in the middle and some blue translucent studs there, which I think are supposed to be like kind of the propulsion out of the back of the X-Wing, which is nice. So we do have a lot of the X-Wing like condensed into this. And I think, comparing it to this polybag one, we can kind of see what the difference is in terms of scale. It would have been cool if because I thought this one was designed really, really well. It would have been kind of cool if it got all the way to that level. Maybe it wasn't working. I mean, it's only a couple studs off in length probably, and it uses kind of the same pieces with the same angled plate. It's a little bit thicker as well, and there's just other differences, but you can see where the reference is, and it's also pretty well captured, I think. So I think they do a pretty good job there. I wonder, can they not use these ski pieces for the mech, or maybe they didn't want to for some reason, because they probably could have used these. I think these are a ski pole for a minifigure, but they've been used as antennas and a bunch of other things. They probably could have used these in here. I'm pretty sure these can go in this piece. I could be wrong, but I don't see why they wouldn't. And maybe that doesn't look as good. It's just too thin or too whatever. I don't know, but they could have done something like that, or maybe they just wanted to do a different style, or for whatever reason. There's lots of possibilities for that. So fine, but I thought an interesting comparison just because of the scale and the reference. And then in terms of articulation of the arms and legs, besides kind of the foils on the back, it suffers from some of the same limitations as the previous ones. So no waist rotation, no elbow or wrist on this, no knee, but we do have kind of the hip area and the ankle. So we can get the legs out, we can kind of get the feet out, we can turn the leg around. When it's like this, we have a little bit of side movement, we have almost no forward movement, a good amount of back movement, something like that. And because it's relatively sturdy and balanced, there's a lot of opportunity to get this standing on one leg in kind of a running position or something else, and it's easy enough to kind of operate this in such a way to approximate that and play with it. It's very easy to stand up. The kind of the legs, yeah, if they could move forward a little more, that'd be better, I think, just because just to get a more natural kind of walking position. But it's not even hard to get that right now. It's just this kind of vented slope does hit this slope. If we popped that off, we'd probably get, well, not the whole thing. If we popped that off, we'd probably get a little more forward movement, but it might be just enough. The difference between that and that is that's not nothing, especially when it gets down to the end here. The angle difference up at the top probably isn't too far off. I don't know how many degrees, but once you get further extended from that, it is a difference. I do like that piece there. Potentially if it was the other way, maybe that wouldn't look as good, and maybe that wouldn't be as much of an improvement. There are modifications that could easily be done to try to accommodate that a little more, but not a ton of forward movement. Can splay it out to the side for the most part, not like all the way in a perfect split where it'll get down, but I think it can not quite sit either. And once you start moving the legs up, you'd have to kind of angle them out and turn a little bit, and then we're limited by these clips on the side, which I actually had a piece in that clip, and I'll put that back for now if I can, and I'll move this away. And then looking at the arms, so the blaster here, we can lift the arm up, we can bring it down, we can bring it out kind of this way, you can bring it back a little bit. A lot of okay movement just based on the mixel joint here on the side. If it's this way, we can go a little bit more. You can flip this around generally, but it's one of the things with no waist is this can't reach across the torso at all, so we can't ever get that. Now, fortunately enough for this, the way these are designed, the blaster can be turned very, very easily, and because it's got the stud shooter in there, that's kind of important. So if we wanted to aim that a particular way in combination with kind of the joint at the shoulder and then just spinning this around, you can get close. There are probably some angles and places where it's just not going to work, but I think for most cases it's all right. And then the other arm with the lightsaber, again, we don't have any kind of movement here. It can't bend. We can't bring this across too much. We can angle it though, so we can kind of block the face or get into a sword fight. We can't turn it out too far to the side, but we can like swing it across, diagonally, sort of. You're a little bit limited by this joint up here. So that's about the best we can do there. And we could swing that back this way. We could swing it in front of us, block a blaster shot or whatever. We could kind of, if we were in a lightsaber battle, we could, probably crisscross them if they're both right-handed or whatever. And there's kind of enough up and down here that could be good. So not a ton, going down below is possible. It looks a little awkward, but it can be done. So it's not terrible, just because we do have a good amount of range with this angle, this kind of 90-degree angle, combined with the angle up here and the mobility at the shoulder. We can, and the length of this, we can actually kind of get this to come across the whole body in a way that the arms generally don't allow. And, it's very easy to kind of push it a little bit too far, especially when testing the limits. And so that's not perfect, but it's sort of been part of it. If these were to have a waist like those Ninjago ones did, which were admittedly a little bit bigger, then, no matter where, if we had limited arm movement, we could spin them at the kind of waist or spin the torso around such that we could kind of get more slashing action, and it's easier to play with that because you can just only move a little bit of it while the legs are still planted and kind of simulate a lightsaber battle or a duel or whatever. And that also helps for potentially aiming any sort of blaster or other projectiles that they might have. So it is limited, but limited in the same way that the Darth Vader and the Boba Fett and the Stormtrooper mechs were. And I don't know if any of the additional stuff limits it too much. I did run into the S-foils a little bit when I was kind of doing stuff, but you can kind of even angle those back and open them up and try to make that all work, which is pretty good. Like I said, it's well balanced enough, and the foot is robust enough to just stand on one foot. And balancing on my hands not ideal, but you can kind of get it out. You can get the arms out and kind of maintain that line down. So this is essentially standing up like this, and it's still not too hard to get kind of to be balanced. I don't know, it might take a little bit of trial and error. For the most part, one leg is possible, but two legs is like very, very good almost no matter what. Like I can set this down and it doesn't take too much. So it fits in the hand, feels like a good size for this type of thing. And I really like this. I did mention that there was some clips on the side. So one of the things I appreciate about vehicles, about mechs, about lots of stuff is places to put the minifigure accessories. So being able to put the blaster here or here is really, really nice. And then actually the clip on the back is where the lightsaber can potentially go. That's where it goes in the instructions, which means we also have kind of an extra clip there, which is good for symmetry. You could potentially put the blaster on either side. I think it's, makes sense to mirror or kind of emulate the side that it might be held on. We do have red translucent tile in the blaster, and you get another one of those. I do always like when they kind of make room for to store projectiles or ammunition. There are studs available where this could attach to on the foils, on there are areas where this could be put even on the leg or on the kind of waist kind of area there. But I don't know if this is intended, but it's been the case that tiles can go in to clips, so you could theoretically have it there. It can kind of easily get knocked out, but it doesn't put stress on the pieces or anything like that, that it would be worrisome. It has been used in official Lego sets in the past, so the fact that one of those is open, I feel like it's nice. Only having two ammunition, like one loaded in here and one kind of stored somewhere, is fine. You could also store it on the side of the legs. There are other options for it to go, but I've kind of like to know that there's a place, and this one's like somewhat well hidden, and even if it was visible, it doesn't feel like too obstructive or distracting or like out of place. It could just be some other thing. So I think that's good. And I think that's everything in this set. This is pretty cool. I'll show the extra pieces because you do get some. You get a fair amount. You get an extra of the lightsaber hilt, an extra of the blaster, your 1x1s, your styles, your tiles, your studs, the pale yellow there, the kind of turquoise, another one of the red translucent for the tile shooter, which one is loaded in here, one is clipped on the side, and you get a third one there. The trigger mechanism, all of that stuff is the extra pieces, and this set is 195 pieces, and I paid $16 for it. $16 is the retail price. I don't remember actually the piece count of the other 3 Star Wars mechs. I remember not liking that it was $16 instead of $15. I still think this should be $15. You know, it does have more than 150 pieces, so I don't want people saying, "Oh, this should be $19.50 or this should be $20." You know, it does have some stuff added on to it, but on the back, but other ones had stuff like that too. I you know, that $1 is still pretty meaningful to me as it relates to, you know, just affordability for everybody and like agreeability for potentially parents or as a gift, you know, if there's budgets. I don't, you know, going off of the 5 at this price range, I think is a little bit more frustrating to me. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. I do wish it was $15. I don't want them to keep being $16. It could be that the Star Wars ones are always going to be $16, but the Marvel ones might be, you know, $15. And I don't know if they'll always be there. As long as they're making them, maybe they'll stay around there, but maybe not. Maybe they're making these for the next 20 years, and you know, in 5 years they're going to be $17, $18, $19, $20. Who knows? I don't know about that. It's kind of hard to say, but I would have liked to see this at 15, which seems a little bit petty. And I was comfortable paying 16 for it. I was excited about it. I think it's great. I want them to continue to, you know, push the boundaries here and just keep going outside of the box. And I think there's plenty of ideas and material to combine different stuff here. And I think that'd be really, really fun. Who's the pod racer that is that Anakin is, you know, sort of rivaling against? It's not Sebulba, is it? Is that it? Or is that the flying elephant guy? I don't know. I just had a very tiny lapse in my lore and trivia knowledge, but you know, you could have a 2-pack of these with, you know, kind of the young Anakin with a mech that's sort of evoking his pod racer, versus if that other racer is Sebulba, then it could reference that, and I think that would be really, really fun. I know that not everybody would like it. There'd probably be complaints. I don't know if there'll ever not be complaints about Lego Star Wars stuff, at least from somewhere. So I think that's a risk worth taking, and I just think they're very, very fun, very cool, and I would like to like keep going in this direction even further. So I'm a fan of this. I liked this. I liked building it. I liked talking about it. Here it is. Very, very good. So great. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up and give it a like. If you like my other videos, click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on all the Lego videos I'll be doing here in the future, including more Lego Star Wars, more mechs, and then tons of other Lego sets from all different themes, all different shapes, size, price point, piece count, old sets, new sets, a bunch of different stuff. So subscribe so you don't miss any of those upcoming Lego videos. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. I think we are above 1,200 right now, which is incredible. I can't believe that's how much past 1,000 we've gotten in such a short amount of time. So thank you everybody that's already subscribed. If you're not subscribed, maybe consider doing it. It means a lot to me, so thank you very much. And then if you wanted to support this channel in a different way by giving the channel money, you could do that here on YouTube with membership supers and thanks. And I have the Patreon. It's in the video description on my channel page, patreon.com/sobricks. That money will go back into the channel and help, fund the purchases of Lego stuff. I'm not part of the Lego Ambassador Network. I don't get stuff for free, except I have had the viewer, the odd occasion of a viewer might send me something small, but I'm not affiliated with any company or whatever, so I do pay for all these with my own money. And if you wanted to help out with that, there are avenues for that. It's not needed, it's not necessary. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to. Only people that are financially comfortable enough and willing enough to do that. It's just one of those things that's out there, and I appreciate it, and it does help, but that's kind of it. I do this because I really enjoy it, and I enjoy Lego, and I enjoy making videos about it. So thank you for allowing me to have this kind of semblance of an outlet for that, and I'm just very grateful. With all that said, until next time, thanks, bye.